the White House Correspondents Dinner. And on Friday, I recorded a video that I ultimately did not publish because I wanted to see what would happen, what would actually unfold. And we ran it by the team and they all agreed. And the story I did was about how last week the Daily Beast was reporting that Donald Trump planned to use his speech to berate the press and then quickly exit before the awards were given, since the Wall Street Journal would be receiving an award for their reporting on that letter that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein for his birthday. And now I'm definitely not doing the story I expected. And look, all of this could be exactly what it appears to be on its face: an extremist, anti-Trumper, hell-bent on causing damage to the Trump regime. But outside of that, this situation is truly, truly bizarre. And I hope it goes without saying that political violence is never the answer, it's never the move. I don't care who the target is, I don't care what the manifesto says, I don't care about the politics. Now, with that aside, let's talk about what actually is happening underneath this story. You've got the security failure. The highest security threat level was not invoked for Trump and several cabinet members at the D.C. Hilton. Guests' luggage wasn't checked. Security was lax. And then, as Trump and Carolyn Leavitt were told about the incident, you have the smirk and a laugh. Is that the reaction that you would normally see from someone who's under attack? And to me, the worst part was the absolute crazy amount of people taking selfies as they hid from the sounds of gunfire. And I'll just go through a quick inventory. You have a CAA agent at his table calmly forking his spring pea and burrata salad while the room is being evacuated. On photos, it made the print edition of an Italian newspaper, and that's a country who knows political theater. You have UFC CEO Dana White on the floor openly admitting, on the record afterwards, that he ignored law enforcement commands to get down. The color of his skin were different, may have had a different outcome. And the table of celebrants who, while ducking gunfire, had the foresight to grab bottles of wine and champagne for the road on their way out, posing for selfies with the bottles. You had the White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino trying to start a USA chant as the president was being dragged off stage. He attempted a chant while the president of the United States was being evacuated by men with rifles. Read the room, Dan. Everybody else is reading you. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, you had DOJ officials posting on X that they got bruises on their head from Secret Service agents running across their table. And she thanked the agent. The agent ran across her table because the agent didn't know if she was about to be shot. And they're taking selfies saying thank you. And they're stealing wine and starting USA chants and eating their burrata. The unseriousness that comes along with this administration in that ballroom left me speechless, and that's hard to do. You guys know that. And then, of course, the immediate, almost coordinated flood of posts asking for Trump's ballroom to be completed. And I can't stress this enough. It looked coordinated. Within an hour of the shooting, every right-wing influencer with more than 100 followers was reading off the same hymn sheet. Lindsey Graham saying that he'd file legislation on Monday to fully fund it. Speaker Mike Johnson going on Fox and calling the ballroom, quote, a solution, citing the 7-inch thick glass. 7-inch thick glass isn't going to stop someone who gets past security, Mike. Mike Lawler saying the ballroom's imperative. Everyone saying that the ballroom has to be built as soon as possible. Absolutely insane. And so when they're trying to tell us, hey, this wasn't scripted, this was a real event, God, why do you make it look like it was scripted, like it was faked? And again, I'm not saying that it was fake. I'm not saying any of that. But I am saying it's suspicious when you have people going on TikTok for their millions of followers saying, this is why we need the ballroom. Meghan McCain, daughter of John McCain, posting, I don't want to hear one more effing criticism of Trump's new ballroom at the White House. Dozens of Republican politicians and influencers all deciding roughly within an hour or two of the shooting that the lesson from all of it isn't gun control, isn't better security, it's build the king his ballroom. I can't believe that. You even have Elon Musk's estranged baby mama, Ashley St. Clair, going on her live stream saying all of MAGA is paid and they coordinate their messaging in lockstep via group chats. She would know. She's been in those rooms, or at least in the group chats. So when you see 12 different conservative voices say the exact same thing using the same phrasing within the same 45-minute window, that's not organic. At the very least, it's someone taking advantage of the moment. And then, of course, you have alleged Democrat John Fetterman going on X saying that we were there front and center. That venue wasn't built to accommodate an event with the line of succession for the U.S. government. After witnessing last night drop the TDS, that's Trump derangement syndrome, and build the White House ballroom for events exactly like these. Drop the TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. The phrase that Donald Trump uses for anyone who criticizes him. Saying, fellow Democrats, we should fund Trump's vanity ballroom just because of this. John Fetterman, as I'm going to say this gently, is in the wrong job. Pennsylvania Democrats, please find someone else. He's the only Democrat who criticized your Virginia redistricting win. He's the only Democrat who voted to confirm a Trump cabinet pick that everyone else opposed. He's the only Democrat less than 24 hours after Trump has a guy with a rifle running in, used it to advocate for his most ridiculed construction project. He is in a Democratic seat doing work for the Republicans. Disgusting behavior. And he's wondering why everyone's mad at him. And this is where it goes from bad to embarrassing. 2 days before the shooting, Jimmy Kimmel did a sketch on his show. He was mocking an alternative White House Correspondents Dinner speech. He told some jokes, and one of them included a line that said, "Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow." That was the joke. It's about Trump's age. It's about his health. It's the same joke that comedians have told about every old president since George Washington. And on Monday, Melania posted a statement saying that ABC needs to fire Jimmy Kimmel because his joke was hateful and violent rhetoric. That quote deepens the political sickness within America. And of course, Donald goes on Truth Social calling for Disney and ABC to immediately fire Kimmel. And you remember, this isn't the first time that Trump tried to fire Kimmel. After Charlie Kirk in September 2025, Kimmel made a comment on his show. And then that drew the attention of the FCC, Brennan Carr, threatening ABC affiliates with additional work for the FCC if ABC didn't pull the show. So ABC suspended Kimmel for less than a week because public backlash was enormous and he was right back on air. He apologized, sorta, and his ratings went through the roof. And since then, he's been more aggressive. He's been more bold. So we know where this is going to go if Trump keeps up his threats. They're doing it again. The same play, the same kabuki theater, the same script. The administration is using the FCC and public statements to pressure a corporation to fire a comedian for a joke that happened before the event. And you know what? ABC, they may cave. The public's going to scream and Jimmy Kimmel will be back on the air with his ratings up, or he'll go to YouTube with even bigger ratings. And the administration, they're going to taco. It's the exact movie that we've seen every single time. We've seen the credits, and they're running it again because they're out of ideas. And while we're talking about who has been pumping violent rhetoric into the bloodstream of American politics, Donald Trump, his post from earlier this month saying that Iran, that their entire civilization will die and never be brought back again. That's a country of 90 million people. He also posted, Tuesday is Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. It's a war crime. He also posted, open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, you'll be living in hell. Just watch. I mean, there were formal statements by folks like Amnesty International saying that these posts violate humanitarian laws and amount to threats of atrocity crimes and war crimes against civilians. And that's your president on his crappy Truth Social website, threatening to wipe out an entire civilization with profanity. But because a comedian on Thursday night cable show told an old joke about that old man's wife, that becomes the hateful and violent rhetoric. That is what's deepening the political sickness within America. The hierarchy of concern here is comedian making a stale joke, that's an emergency. The president promising the genocide of 90 million Iranians on Truth Social, that's a normal Tuesday morning. And I want to send a message to you guys that are MAGA. You guys are going to be in the comments, I know. You spent 10 years yelling about cancel culture, about how we have to be free to say what we want, how the woke left can't take a joke. And now you're the ones in charge. And the moment a late night host makes a stale joke about your boss's wife, your immediate organized FCC coordinated response is, take him off the air. He's hateful. He's corrosive. The network has to take a stand. MAGA, you are cancel culture. You always have been. You just hated it when it was pointed at you. And talk about violent rhetoric. You have your dear leader threatening war crimes, but upset about a joke? Give me a break. And underneath all of this, the actual shooting is lost. The Secret Service still has the same problem it had after Butler. No one's being held accountable. The hotel was wide open. A guy with a gun in his bag checked into the same hotel as the head of our country. And the response from the right is, build a ballroom. The response from one Democrat, build the ballroom. The response from the First Lady is, fire a comedian. Accountability? None. Silence. It's the same as Butler. It's the same as always.